topic as to who I am and how I actually got from one part in my life to now I'm the founder of the Positive People Army. And if you don't know what the Positive People Army is, it's a thing I started about a year ago. And a year ago, it was a blog. That's all it was. It was a blog. It came to me, and I'm going to get to that part at the end of this. But it was a blog that I started, and it's this beautiful, incredible space where not only I share stories, positive stories, lessons that I've learned in my life, but other people, any single one of you here can post your story on this site. It's a place of sharing, it's a place of support, it's a place where people are actually learning how to lead a positive life on their own. Because everyone says, well, just be more positive. Guess what? It's not that easy. You can't just be more positive. There are things you have to put in place to become that person. So, the Positive People Army started. But where did it come from? Because I actually originally started out my very first business as a photographer. A wedding photographer. It seems like about 1,000,000 years ago. I won't tell you how old I am, but it feels like 1,000,000 years ago. And I started as a wedding photographer. So how does someone get from a wedding photographer, and you do know that I'm a producer on the Marilyn Dennis Show, to founder of the Positive People Army? With a whole bunch of lessons. But I'm actually only going to focus on 3. Because these 3 particular lessons, if you implement them into your own businesses, if you already have a business, you're thinking of starting a business, it will guarantee your success, okay? So that's where we're gonna go. So, I graduated university and college, because of course, very much like Lori, I just love to learn. So I went to both, and then I finished, and I was like, okay, now what am I supposed to do? So my father came to me, and he said, why don't you come and work in my business? I'm a photographer. Why don't you come work for me? And I said, well, I'm not actually going to do that. The only way I will come and work with you is as your business partner, because I'm going to tell you something about myself. I am a type A personality. Not just any type A personality. I'm a type A personality on crack. And I am not joking you when I say that. My husband is right there and he will back that up.
Yes, she is.
I really am a type A personality on crack. So I said to him, I'm not going to work for you. I need to become your business partner. Now, I didn't tell you this part. I've never picked up a camera in my life. Never. Never picked up a camera. And of course, I've never owned my own business. But I talked myself into this. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to do this. This is what I'm going to do now. So I went into business. He got rid of his sole proprietorship and made a partnership with me. Amazing. Now I own this business. Okay. So, first lesson shows up. Because every single person, when I decided to do this, told me, well, you can't be a photographer. You've never picked up a camera. You can't own a business. You've never owned one before. People kept telling me what I can't do. There's the lesson. I wasn't living an authentic life. I'm listening to everyone else. When you actually live and decide to live an authentic life, you stop listening to everyone around you, because now you're only listening to yourself. When you're not actually living an authentic life, do you want to know what actually happens to you? You get grumpier because you're not listening to yourself. Do you remember the intuition we talked about? You get grumpier. You start to get judgmental because again, you're judging everyone else because now you're not happy with yourself. You keep listening to everyone else. You also start to become jealous or envious of other people's success, because you're not listening to yourself. You're now comparing yourself to everyone. So, how can you actually live more authentically? How can you decide to do this? How are you gonna get rid of all that white noise that you're listening to? It's like you start to lose your self-esteem. You start to forget what your brand is. So all you have to do is 3 little things that are very simple. Very, very simple. In fact, you've all done 2 of these every single time you go for a job interview. They ask you, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? Why is it the only time we're pointing these out is when we go for a job interview? As mompreneurs, as business owners, you should be figuring this out every month that you're in business. Every single month, because every month your business changes. You learn more things, you get more clients, all of a sudden you're tapping into different websites and you're reading different books. So I'm telling you right now, every single month, you could do it every single week if you want to, but I'm just gonna say every single month. I want you to start writing out what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. Next month, those might start to change, and that's okay. You may have thought that your strength was marketing. You may have thought that. But then all of a sudden, you meet someone else who's better at marketing, and you decide to bring this person into your business. All of a sudden, that's not your biggest strength anymore. But your biggest strength was being smart enough to hire that person. There's your new strength this month. So you're gonna figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are. Number 3, you need to find out what makes you unique. Now, I know a lot of you have started businesses, so you know what that is. If you have a business, you found out what your unique is. But you need to, again, every single month, write it down, figure it out. What are you unique at? Every single time you do these 3 things, you're actually living a more authentic life. You're conducting your business from a place of authenticity. So that will give you success. So guess what happened? Leading from a place of authenticity, I didn't listen to anybody else. I did pick up a camera. I learned how to shoot that camera. And at one point, Fujifilm made me one of the top wedding photographers in Canada because I didn't listen. I was just authentic. Take a drink of water here. Yeah, that was kind of cool. So there I was. I have 5 photographers working for me. I've been named that. I'm enjoying life. I'm absolutely loving it. But all of a sudden I noticed there was this thing that started creeping up. I need to make a difference. Well, I think I am making a difference. I kept asking myself, I am making a difference. But I wasn't making a big enough difference, which is why I think these lessons were coming to me so quickly. So I decided to close the photography company because I realized I felt I'd done everything I could there. It was now time for me to move on. I'm supposed to be making a difference here. I don't know what that is yet, but I'm gonna figure it out. So the next thing I did was I opened a bridal gown store. So again, you can start to see a bit of a theme. I really like weddings, or maybe just sparkly things. I don't know what it is. I think it's sparkly things. So I opened the wedding gown store. And we're doing quite well. And all of a sudden, we head into a recession. So when I owned the wedding gown store, you remember this recession. It was about 12 years or so ago. It's pretty hard. The market crashed. Real estate market, it was pretty bad. And I now own a business where, honestly, people don't have to buy wedding dresses. They like them, but they don't have to spend a lot of money. So with that recession came the next lesson. Thoughts that were consuming my mind at this point was fear, scarcity, and lack. And that's all I kept thinking about. I was so fearful I was gonna go under. I was so fearful I wasn't gonna make enough money. I was so fearful of the lack that could happen. When these types of thoughts consume your mind, that's all you're going to have is lack and scarcity. So the next lesson I learned was gratitude. Gratitude equals joy and abundance. And I read this, and I thought, really? Gratitude? You mean just saying thank you? It's not just saying thank you. It's being grateful for every single thing that was happening in my store. If I actually lived in that moment of scarcity and lack, then I'm not living in gratitude. So I started to change it. And I started being more grateful for every single thing that was happening in this store. Again, we are in a recession. Like, at any moment, I could go under. But I decided that wasn't going to happen. Not on my watch. Again, remember the type A personality on crack. That was not going to happen. So, With gratitude, what I started to implement was, number one, a gratitude journal. And I know people have heard of these things. Journaling has become such a popular thing. Thank goodness. It's a wonderful thing. Words are powerful when you write them down. They resonate with you when you write them down. So I started a gratitude journal. And I started putting absolutely everything in there that I was grateful for. Every time those moments of scarcity and lack would come, I would go to the gratitude journal. The next thing I did, and sometimes this scares people, but what I love about this room is there's probably a lot of life coaches and business coaches here, is meditation. I actually implemented meditation into my life. I'm not talking about like 20 minutes I was meditating at a time, because like I'm a type A personality on crack. I cannot quiet this mind for that long. But I would for about like say a good 5 minutes. I would just clear my mind and go to that place of gratitude. So, next thing I did was I decided that throughout the day, there was going to be moments that I was just going to be grateful. Now, all of you sitting here have extremely busy lives. Your moms, your business owners. Where on earth am I going to find a moment here, a moment there for this gratefulness, Heidi? Guess where you get to find it? Because there is one place that everyone goes every single day, and they're quiet for just a moment. The bathroom. I'm not joking you. Every single time I go to the bathroom, you're just sitting there in silence. You've just got to get something done. Find that moment where you can literally be grateful in that moment, okay? So here I go. I found authenticity. I found how to be grateful. And now I'm going to move on in my journey, because now I actually left that store. And I went from being a lifestyle editor at Today's Bride, again, bridal, then I was a radio co-host, and then of course I found television. And I got to, how I found television is they actually found me. I was one of the hosts. I got to be a host on Rich Bride, Poor Bride for 6 seasons. I don't know if you guys know of that show or not. It was on a long time ago. You remember that show? Amazing. Amazing. So I was on that for 6 seasons, and all of a sudden that making a difference thing was really starting to, like I knew I was getting closer. So what I did was, as the host, I decided I was going to go and work behind in television. And when I went behind and I became a producer, first in reality, and then I moved on to Maryland, all of a sudden, that make a difference thing was blowing up in my face. Now I do get to make a difference every single day, and I get to do it for makeover clients, which is absolutely fantastic. And then I decide that I need to go and work for someone that I'm truly going to make a difference with, Oprah Winfrey. So that was on my next agenda of what I was going to do. I'm going to work for Oprah. So I made a cover letter. I decided I was going to do this. And all of a sudden, when I printed it off, for the very first time in my life, I hesitated. And I've never hesitated. I've gone from one career to the next, always knowing what I'm supposed to do, literally controlling and mapping out my life. But now I'm hesitating. I wasn't hesitating because I didn't think I couldn't get the job. Of course I'm going to get the job. You've heard all the things that I've done. Of course I was going to get it. I would stalk her to get it. Honest to God, I would have. But I knew that's not why I hesitated. And when I hesitated, all of a sudden I realized I didn't want the job. But why wouldn't I want the job? Of course I want Oprah in my life one day, but I don't want the job. Why don't I want the job? This moment put me into such a spiral. You cannot believe. All of a sudden, this woman that has controlled everything, done everything in her life, now has hesitated and spiraled out of control. I called it my spiritual breakdown. My spiritual breakdown lasted for about 6 months, and I did my best to control the hell out of that spiritual breakdown, because that's what I do. Here comes lesson number 3. Lesson number 3 was I had to let go. Because in that control comes stress, and in that stress comes chaos. And when you have chaos, there's absolutely no answers. in chaos. What does everyone do when they're stressed out? They're trying to control everything and they're completely stressed out. Oh my God, don't. I can't think. I just can't think. I'm so stressed out. Because there's absolutely no answers in that chaos. So that lesson was I just let go. I stopped controlling every single thing that was happening in my life. And I just let the people that needed to come in, come in. I let the situations happen as they were supposed to happen. And in that moment of letting go, the answers came. The biggest answer that came was, you don't have to do this alone. I didn't have to do this alone. And from that came the Positive People Army. So now, all 3 lessons. Be authentic, be grateful, and let go, because that's where the answers are. Thank you.